Hey everybody, Super Sheep in here. Welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be a little bit different from my last video. Today I'm going to be talking about a game that is near and dear to my heart, developed by Camelot in 2001 for the Game Boy Advance. That game is called Golden Sun. Now, in this video, I did want to briefly talk about certain points. Wanted to set up the world and the characters firsthand, just so we know a little bit what the stakes are. Then wanted to move on to general gameplay, talk a little bit about how the graphics are used, and then my favorite part of any video, that's just gushing about the music. So strap in, guys. I'll be here trying to entertain you for as long as I possibly can, and let's get this party started.
Okay, so first off, we're going to talk about the world. Now, this world is one that is without magic on the surface, but there are different tribes that are
Alright, no accents. We're going back to the normal voice for now. Okay, so, the world. All life in the world is derived from a little thing called alchemy. Now, it doesn't go into super high depth of what alchemy really is. It basically just says that alchemy is the lifeblood of synergy. Synergy? Synergy? I'm gonna call it synergy because it looks like it's supposed to be from psychic energy, and it's my video, so I'm gonna call it what I fucking want. Now, synergy is separated into 4 different elements: Venus for earth, Mars for fire, Jupiter for wind, and Mercury for water. Now, there's a different tribe that is associated with each of these elements. The main tribe that your characters are from being called Vale, at the foot of Mount Aleph, host to mostly Venus adepts. There is a Mercury water tribe as well, and you only really see 2 of those characters throughout this game. You see the 2 villains are from the Mars or Fire tribe, and you don't really see any other adepts from that tribe in this first game either. They do make an appearance in the second. And then, of course, there's what whispers of a Jupiter tribe, and there are 2 Jupiter adepts that you run into the game, but you don't actually see anyone from that actual tribe. Now, synergy is not overtly common in this world. It seems as though it is somewhat of a dying lost art. And your main characters, Isaac and Garrett, are from the tribe that has been tasked with protecting the ruins of Mount Aleph, aka the birthplace of synergy and alchemy and all things holy. The journey begins when 2 Mars adepts, Satiros and Minardi, decide to attack the village of Vale. Well, not really the village of Vale. They go into the ruins of Mount Aleph, and they are seeking a particular set of elemental stars, and something goes awry, and they cause the mountain the volcano to erupt. And that's where the journey begins, is right in the middle of the eruption as you're trying to sort out what's going on, trying to save as many people as possible. Now, there's a small little section where you take control of Isaac and Garrett as children, but it is really just a short little intro, and there is a 3-year time skip after the events of the eruption, and that is where the true story begins. As young adult Isaac and Garrett and their friend Jenna, they decide to climb Mount Aleph to go into the Soul Sanctum to research the elemental stars for this old man Creighton. And when they get there, they get ambushed by those same 2 Mars adepts, Satiros and Minardi, and that's where all hell breaks loose. I don't want to go too far into depth. Again, I do not like to do spoilers. I want everyone to play these games that I recommend. But it is important to kind of set up the world and kind of show why you are going on this mission. So I've mentioned a couple characters already. The two main protagonists from the beginning being Isaac and Garrett. Isaac is your prototypical silent protagonist. He is the stand-in for the player. Doesn't really have any personality to speak of, but he is the main character and is your main Venus adept. Now, Garrett, on the other hand, does get a little bit more characterization. Still not a whole lot, but he is the blunt hothead of the group. Definitely a little bit of an oaf, but he's incredibly loyal to both Isaac and your other friend Jenna. He is technically from the same village as you, but he has Mars abilities. He is a fire adept. He is your big, slow DPS, and he's all reliable. Very quickly on the journey, in fact, the first town that you go to after the village of Vale, you meet a little boy named Ivan. Now, Ivan is about 2 to 3 years younger than both Isaac and Garrett, and he is the Jupiter adept of the party. He's got a special ability of mind reading. He is slightly stoic, and he is kind of perceived to be the intelligent one of the group, but he is much younger, like I said. And then the last party member that you get is a girl named Maya, and she is a Mercury adept from the actual Mercury tribe. She is one of two adepts left within the tribe, and she is kind of she's supposed to be your healer. She's a little bit of the voice of reason, and she's incredibly valuable to any group. Now, to be completely honest, when I played this game as a kid, I remember liking these characters a hell of a lot more than I do now. I guess as a kid, you don't really notice when characters aren't really written at all. Like, these characters are kind of just cookie cutter, serve a purpose, plug and play. They aren't honestly anything special, and I am a little bit sad about that, because I remember I really liked Isaac. I remember, when I was a kid, I was like, damn, I wish my name was Isaac. That's a fucking cool ass name. What the hell? And it's a little bit weird to come back as an adult and be a little bit disappointed by that. That being said, they kind of make up for it with the villains. The villains actually have a little bit more personality and a little bit more mystery behind them. I mentioned how Maya was one of 2 Mercury adepts. The other being one of the villains. His name is Alex. He serves kind of a smaller role in the back end, but he's always scheming. You never quite know whether or not he's actually a villain, and he's very interesting because of that. And of course, the second game builds upon that a great deal. But he's legitimately interesting. He's always has some sort of plot up his sleeve, and I really enjoyed that. I never knew where I stood with him. Then you had I mentioned Jenna. She ends up getting kidnapped by the villain party, but you have her brother, a man named Felix. Now, he's technically a villain in the first game, but you never get the feeling that he ever sees eye to eye with the main baddies, Saturos, Minardi, and Alex. He always has his own agenda, and he's always wanting to protect his sister and Kraden and the other Jupiter adept that gets kidnapped later on in the game, Sheba. He doesn't seem to fall in line, and that again leads for an interesting dynamic. Even though they're a group of villains all seeming to work together to perform their goal, you have a couple characters that are pulling in different directions, and that's, man, I wanted some of that in the main characters in my party. Then finally, you get to the two main bads, Soteros and Minardi, and they're pretty awesome. I mean, Soteros has a little bit of an advantage just because you fight him so many more times than Minardi. Minardi is kind of just the partner in the background, but she does have some important lines and some important things to say. But Soteros is definitely the Joker to your Batman. He is the one who is in direct opposition to you, and he's the one that's the most intimidating. Not to mention, and we'll get to this later on in the video, fucking kick-ass battle theme. I'm sure you've all heard it, even if you haven't played this game. Overall, I'd say the villains are pretty good. They serve their purpose incredibly well. They're intimidating, and they're interesting, and that's all you can really ask for in good villains. Like I said before, I do wish that your main party received a little bit more characterization, but they do serve their purpose. Next up, I wanted to talk a little bit about the gameplay, aka where the game shines. The gameplay in this game is definitely the best part of it, and I can wholeheartedly say that. This is not a part that I had nostalgia goggles on for. I came back to it, and oh man, it's good! Now, Synergy plays a ginormous part in this game, both in and out of combat. In combat, you get all these fancy spell effects and different elemental spells, or these cool-ass heals, and it just feels really fun to use, but in combat, it kind of just serves the same purpose as any other magic in any other game. But out of combat is actually where it shines. You need to use your different adepts and their special abilities to navigate the world. You will run across areas that are blocked off by maybe some leaves, or maybe you have to find a way to move certain objects into place so that you can cut across, or maybe freeze a puddle of water on the ground so that you can now jump on top of it and get to the other side of a crevice. And that's what's really fun, is Synergy plays a huge part in navigating the world. Each character plays a role, and it makes exploration way more fun. You can kind of go off the beaten path and use these abilities to find a place that you weren't supposed to necessarily get to right away, and you get a new piece of loot. Maybe you get a new elemental weapon, or maybe you'll run across one of those all exciting little elemental buddies called Jinn. Look at this little guy. What do you mean, these elemental buddies? You said they were Jinn? Yes. They are called Jinn, or Genie, I guess. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce the plural of that. But they function as your summons in this game. Each Jinn has a element that they follow, right? So we got, again, Venus, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter. But they all bestow little abilities that you can use upon unleashing them as well. They also give your character stat bonuses. The more Jinn you have attached or equipped to a character, the higher stats they have. But when you use one of these Jinn, it lowers your stats, but puts them on, gives them the ability to be summoned. The more Jinn abilities you use, the more that you have on standby, the more you can use to summon more powerful summons. And it creates this really fun, high-risk, high-reward gameplay where you want to be using these Jinn because you want to summon the most powerful spells in the game, But at the same time, if you do that, you kind of leave yourself vulnerable. You get hit way harder. Maybe you have less HP. So if you hadn't have summoned that Jin or used that ability, you would have been able to survive that attack. But because you did, you don't have enough HP and defense. Now your character takes way more damage, and maybe he dies, and you have to res him. And it really does create a really fun dynamic. Especially since a lot of these abilities, I'm not even talking about the summons, just the abilities themselves are super useful, like creating a defensive barrier that causes you to take an extreme reduced damage, or maybe it debuffs the enemy and makes their attack less, or you can, some of them even have a res. I mean, they're worthwhile to use, and they have unique skills that you can use them for. And so it's really up to you to decide when and where to use them, and if you use too many too often and you fuck up, you're gonna die and you're gonna pay for it. And it's just it's a unique system, and I honestly love it. You also can have a lot of customization with these guys, because you can switch them around different elements to different characters, and you can come up with custom classes for each of your characters. I know as a kid, I tended to have all the elemental Jin on the same adepts. So, like, all my Venus Jin on Isaac, all my Mars Jin on Garrett, etc. But this time through, I decided to customize a little bit more. And I'm really glad I did. It gave me a new perspective on a game that I've played multiple times through childhood, but I, for some reason, never experimented. And experimentation's good. It's fun. Getting set up with new abilities and new classes that I've never seen before. I mean, I never even realized that this ability Wish was in the game. That is a heal for your entire party. It's broken. It's so much fun. And it really did show how much customization can bring to a game. Now, the last thing in combat that I wanted to gush over was the use of artifact weapons. You have your normal weapons with stat upgrades, sure, that's pretty standard. Anytime you go to a new town, you go check the bazaar, right, and you equip the highest stat upgrade weapon. In this game, you have artifacts. Now, artifacts are weapons that have special abilities tied to them, similar to like a crit. It seems to happen more often than a regular critical strike does, but you have a chance when basic attacking with an artifact weapon to unleash a special ability, something like a blizzard or a swift strike or a waterfall strike, and it allows for just basic attacking to be fun. And you know, that's a problem in every RPG where you're trying to conserve mana, or in this game, PP, and you don't want to be using your magic every turn, so you're going to be spamming basic attacks. Well, in this game, you get special animations, and you have a chance for special things to, like, seal the enemy's magic, or put them in a fog, or put them to sleep, and it's such a small thing. But the fact that they came up with so many small animations for each of these weapons, it really shows how much love they had for this game, and how much they wanted the game to be fun to play. And it succeeds in pretty much every single way. Now, not everything is perfect. I mentioned in my Suikoden video that the inventory system in Suikoden was like this game, Golden Sun, but somehow worse. Well, now after replaying Golden Sun, I kind of remembered why. Each character has their own inventory, and there is no shared inventory, which sucks because it basically means you need to have everyone equipped with healing items, and that bogs down their inventory. You only have so many slots. It's almost impossible not to be over-encumbered constantly, especially because there are plenty of items that are necessary that you can't get rid of. Special synergy stones that you equip that give you a unique ability, or the elemental star, or this bottle you get, or any of the other just important items that you can't really get rid of, and you just constantly feel claustrophobic with the amount of inventory space you have, and you kind of feel like you're fighting against the game. Now, the reason why I said Suikoden's is slightly worse, the only reason, is that Golden Sun has more inventory slots. That's it. And other than that, it's the exact fucking same. And it is probably my least favorite thing about the game, to be honest. Now, the last thing I kind of wanted to rant about, it's not a big thing, it doesn't break the game, it doesn't make the game bad. This game is fucking awesome. I love this game. But the choices that appear in dialogue suck. Oh my god, they don't matter. You can say whatever the fuck you want, yes or no. It doesn't change the outcome. Why even have these? Why have them? They don't do anything. They don't serve any purpose. It gives the illusion of some sort of choice. And other than one specific choice early on in the game, literally not a single one of them matters. And it is incredibly disappointing. Alright, we got those small negatives out of the way. Let's move on to the graphics. Once again, you can see just from the footage that they are sprite-based. Now, it's not as in-depth as Suikoden's, but that comes with the fact that it's on the Game Boy Advance. For the system that this game was produced on, these are incredible. They feel about as real as you possibly can make a game on the Game Boy Advance. And it really does help that they have these little emotion boxes in the dialogue that comes up. So yeah, you might not be able to see the emotion on their face with the sprites, but these little emote boxes come up and you get a good feeling for what your character is feeling in that particular moment. And it's impossible to talk about Golden Sun without mentioning these spell effects. I mean, look at this. They're gorgeous. They're so over the top. Giant ass explosions. You get this ice shattering effect. The lightning effects. Not to mention these summons. I mean, come on. Every single one of these are just so gorgeous and over the top. I mean, look at this summon called Judgment. It's just like, oh yeah, let's just destroy the world with a big-ass earth laser beam. That can't possibly, we can't possibly get caught in the crossfire of that, guys. No, that's not gonna happen. We need to summon this thing and get the fuck out of here. All right. Okay. The time has come. We all know that my favorite part of these videos is the music. And oh boy, Golden Sun has some good ass fucking music, especially if you're considering other titles from the Game Boy Advance. The Game Boy Advance sound card was not designed for the amount of layers that each of these tracks have. My mind is absolutely blown when I'm listening to the soundtrack, and you hear it and you're like, man, this is on the Game Boy Advance. What the fuck? No way. Yes way. It's on the Game Boy Advance. They literally pushed it to the limit. I will get it out of the way. The battle theme is incredible. You hear it more than any other theme in the game. I'm not even going to try to describe how awesome it is. Just try to listen to the different layers. You got that groovy bass, you got the melody, all the things kind of working together in harmony. Take a listen. everyone's other favorite battle theme only plays during Sadaros' battles, and that's his battle theme. Oh my god. And it really does do justice to the character. You enjoy these tough fights because of how epic this song is. And it's probably the most memorable track in the game. Yeah, I'm just gonna play it and we're gonna listen to it and just enjoy it. It is good, and that's all I'm gonna say. Now we get to my personal favorite track in the entire game, called Elemental Stars. You only hear it when you are in Soul Sanctum or when you're on top of one of the 2 lighthouses that you go to in the game. But oh my god, it's so pretty and peaceful, and you hear these flutes in the background, and again, these songs all have so many layers. They're like fucking ogres in the most beautiful way. Alright, so this last song I'm going to show, I need to show, because if I don't, you guys are probably going to kill me, all you fans out there. I know for a fact that my friend Jay would kill me if I didn't show off this song, because every time we're hanging out in Discord together, he needs to play it. And yes, it's incredible. It's the Venus Lighthouse. We all know it. It comes towards the end of the game, and it really does feel like a culmination of the journey up until this point, and it's good. And so here it is. The best way I can describe this soundtrack is that when I heard it coming out of my Game Boy Advance for the first time, I was shocked. I could not possibly believe that this was coming out of this little machine. And I still think it holds up to this day. If you ever are hunkering for some awesome orchestral mixes, try to find these ones, because oh my god, do they bring just such incredible music to the table. Well guys, I think that's been enough. This video is actually a lot longer than I was anticipating it being. I don't really feel the need to rant about it anymore, both positive and negative. Just play it. Play this game if you haven't. If you have, and it's been since you were a child, go back and play it, and you won't be disappointed. Now, I will be playing The Lost Age as well at some point, probably soon. Probably sooner than doing Suikoden 2. I haven't necessarily decided yet. But what I have decided on is that my next video will be on something other than a JRPG. So if you're excited about that, just please stay tuned for the next video. Hopefully have it out in about a week. And with that, guys, Super Sheepin signing off here. Peace.